it's just an ordinary Friday night, folks, here in the New York metropolitan area. Just finished uploading the Yankees video. D.D. Gregorius back in the lineup. NBA Finals are going to continue a little bit later. And what's this? The Jets have hired Joe Douglas. The Jets have hired Joe Douglas! Yes, it is true, folks. The New York Jets have hired Joe Douglas as their new general manager. Michael Cohen here with you. Glad you could join us here today, folks, as we have a bit of a special edition of the Open Mic program here on the Sports Talk Nation. I'm sure some of you have already seen that I had posted a video broadcast on the Yankees, and you can check that out as well. Have it in the description below. But shortly after uploading that video, we started to get word that there was some movement going on in the NFL. And it involved the general manager, but not with the Jets, not right away. The initial word was that the Houston Texans were going to fire their general manager, and they were going to join into the search for a new one. And a lot of people speculated maybe the Texans will go out there and start to pick off some of these candidates that the Jets have interviewed for their position, especially someone like a Joe Douglas or a Champ Kelly. So the Jets, lo and behold, just literally like an hour later, have now finalized a deal. It is now done, complete, with Joe Douglas to become the next general manager of the New York Jets. And according to Adam Schefter, it will be a 6-year deal that the Jets will agree to with Douglas. Terms of the deal were not reported beyond that, but it is a 6-year deal between the Jets and Joe Douglas to become the general manager of the New York Jets. So a couple things here, a couple quick thoughts on this. One, you gotta be happy if you're a Jets fan that the Jets have gotten this done. You don't want to have this be labored any much longer than it already has been. The Jets spent a couple of weeks here interviewing candidates and scrutinizing over who they're going to bring in as the general manager of this team. So you have to feel good that that part is now over. You had to be worried a little bit seeing the news earlier this afternoon that the Texans had fired their general manager, and there's a possibility that someone like a Joe Douglas could get picked off in this situation. So now that has been eliminated. Now, we don't know too much about Douglas other than the fact that he has spent the last 3 seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles. He has played a significant role, according to many sources, in shaping the roster of the Eagles over the last couple of years, especially their Super Bowl championship team from 2 years ago. He was in the Baltimore Ravens scouting department and personnel department for more than a decade, about 15 years, 2000 to 2015, and he helped that front office pick some of its franchise players, guys like Joe Flacco, guys like C.J. Mosley, who has now since joined the Jets here in New York. So he has been steeped in finding players. Whether he gets the direct credit for that or not, he's getting a lot of credit now for it. But he is a guy who has been in front offices, in the NFL front office, with 2 very good franchises, 2 prominent franchises. So this, just on the outset, would be a solid hire. Now, there are a couple of questions that I have. One, what is his relationship with Adam Gase? Now, he did spend a year in Chicago with the Bears, did Douglas, the same year that Gase was the offensive coordinator for the Bears. So my question is, how much do these 2 guys really know each other? That's going to be a big question to ask moving forward. And how does that relationship play forward now here with the Jets? Next question is going to be, what is the responsibilities for Joe Douglas? And I think that's the big question. Is he going to be allowed to have say or on the final roster, the final 53-man roster? And I think that has to be a big part of this decision by Joe Douglas to sign up for a 6-year deal with the Jets. He's got to have say on that 53-man roster, final say on that 53-man roster, and we'll see how much power he has over somebody like an Adam Gase. A lot of people felt this was an Adam Gase production, that they were going to pick a guy who was going to be, we even talked about it in a previous video, who, where the Jets going to go out there and pick somebody who was an Adam Gase guy. These two guys, as I said, have a connection with their time in the Bears. That will now be tested, and we'll see what kind of power, what kind of power structure the Jets are going to have here with Joe Douglas and Adam Gase. Are they going to have the same structure where the GM and the head coach both report to the owner, in this case Chris Johnson, then when he comes back from England, Woody Johnson? We'll have to wait and see. So in the interim, the Jets get the job done. They bring back, they hire, I should say, their general manager in Joe Douglas. So that is now complete. So for one day anyway, the Jets do something. They do something right. The Jets also, before we close out here, brought back Bilal Powell. They re-signed him to a contract. So he'll be back here in training camp. That's a nice job by them as well to bring back a running back who was a nice productive player for them for a few years here in New York, and he'll be in the mix with Le'Veon Bell and Ty Montgomery when we get into the preseason. But for this video, the Jets, they get the job done on a Friday night. As the NBA Finals, Game 4 is about to tip off, the Jets have their man, and that is, right from down I-95 in Philadelphia, Joe Douglas. Remember, folks, you can follow us here on Facebook, facebook.com/OpenMicProgram, as well as on Twitter @OpenMicNJ. And don't forget to kill that like and subscribe button. I want you to kill it. As you want to be a member here on the Sports Talk Nation, home for everything New York, New Jersey sports. We try to keep you updated as best we can, folks. Take care. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Sports Talk Nation.